16,000 people telling him to stay. I think he wanted to do what those voices were telling him to do.
The Ridges kept saying publicly, if we could just talk to the Cherokee people, then we could convince them that this is our only option. And they felt like John Ross was being heavy-handed and keeping them from speaking as openly as they liked.
The duty of the minority to yield and unite is sanctioned by patriotism and virtue, Ross proclaimed. Then, citing a national emergency, he suspended the upcoming tribal elections.
When John Ross cancels elections, now there's a real block to John Ridge ever assuming what he knows to be his rightful position. He sees John Ross as a dictator, and he grows to hate the man in a very visceral way.
The United States and Georgia got the scent of blood and dug deep at the rift that had opened between Chief Ross and the Ridges. Federal agents kept close contact with members of the Ridge faction and let it be known among all Cherokees. Ross's allies fanned rumors that the Ridges were illegally negotiating away Cherokee land and reminded the Ridge Party that the penalty for selling land without the consent of the tribe was death. By the time the tribal leaders gathered for an emergency session at the Red Clay Council grounds in the summer of 1834, John Ross had taken aim at his old friend, Major Ridge.
My fellow countrymen, the matter before us is most urgent. If the United States shall withdraw their solemn pledges of protection, deprive us of the right of self-government, and wrest from us our land, then in deep anguish of our misfortunes, we may justly say, there is no place for us. No confidence left that the United States shall be more just and faithful towards us in the barren prairies of the West than when we occupied the soil inherited from the great author of our existence.
Carl, gonna get your own way. The God's gonna get your own way. Clayu do tlaanza laga yesle ko hitseke hanne. Hartlang gedek. Den duk disken. Carl, klad dan lei hanska.
I stille over næste hyggede, og I ikke skulle løbe det højt,
I zaga sesta na wanta heniski et stiha. Agadel hosansku. El niskone ha.
Det er jo næsten, når der er lige nisat skeen godt sted.
Ujo eta, agadan kilowatik. Ujo euda, iga stan hette tikoti. Ja, I sa.
Jo, så ved det her en godt nye til.
My father has with distinguished zeal and ability served his country. Is a man to be denounced for his opinion? If a man saw a cloud charged with rain and thunder and urged the people to take care, is that man to be hated or respected?
There's a lengthy discussion, and it's decided to impeach John Ridge, Major Ridge, from the National Council. Amidst all of this, a member of the Ridge faction, John Walker Jr., leaves early. And he is bushwhacked. His body's left out on the road as a signal.
It's not just rhetoric anymore. People have to fear for their lives.
There was no reconciling after Red Clay. John Ross insisted that if the Cherokees held tight, they could outlast the Jackson administration. A new president would surely honor the Supreme Court decision. The Ridges believed that what was left of American tolerance for Indian people was evaporating fast. It was time for the Cherokee leaders to take the best cash offer from Washington and get their people to safety west of the Mississippi. In the last days of 1835, in defiance of Chief Ross and the National Council, a self-appointed group of Cherokee leaders met at the home of Elias Boudinot. In front of them was the newly negotiated Treaty of New Echota. In return for ceding all the tribal lands in the southeast, the Cherokee Nation would be paid $5 million, providing funds to relocate west of the Mississippi and to build schools, churches, and homes in their new land. The treaty party did not stand to benefit financially, but they knew that would be little comfort to their fellow citizens.
None of them were under any illusions as to what they were doing. They knew it was contrary to the wishes of the majority of Cherokees. They knew that they had no authority to sign that treaty. They all knew that.
To a large extent, they had come to believe what they had been telling themselves from the time of the Worcester decision. We see, we're the ones who know, we're the ones who have to take action to protect these people who don't understand. It must have been a very heavy load, knowing that the vast majority of Cherokee people would see them as traitors and worthy of the death penalty.
Ano chicken, honey, ego gaston, ina chicken, agotena, agotaso. I said, Digi yovish the negaste he agadoi. Igige you he chicken, honey, degataso, degi lamstanello, alle. Ige long tanasa, stalan. Aya chicken, killa we go hita. Iganigi stitch in Galstin. Other again, don't show. You got that done to go to you.
Soon after the Treaty of New Echota was ratified in the United States Senate, by a margin of just 1 vote, Major Ridge and his son John left their homes and moved to the land west of the Mississippi to establish a new Cherokee nation. The Ridges were going the way of other tribes around them, the Creeks, the Choctaws, and the Chickasaws. But less than 2,000 of the 18,000 Cherokee citizens joined the Ridges in their journey west.
The people are told they have 2 years to remove themselves peacefully with support from the federal government, supplying and make sure that they get their payments. And only a handful of people leave. They continue planting their fields and making improvements on their farms. That was their land. They weren't going to leave.
For the vast majority of the Cherokee people, removal was not an option. It just was not. They couldn't comprehend removal. They couldn't comprehend that a handful of people signing a piece of paper would be enough to remove them from their homelands.
John Ross is trying to hold the nation together, to keep it in place. He's desperately seeking a way, any possible way, that the Cherokees can remain in the East.
I need your help. A paper will come soon. Please sign it. You can trust me to fight this.
The Cherokee chief knew he was working against time. Deadline for removal was May 1838, and 7,000 federal troops had ringed Cherokee territory. White settlers began to close the circle, like vultures, said one federal officer, ready to strip the Cherokees of everything they have. Still, John Ross had faith in the common decency of white Americans. He thought the Ridges' narrowly ratified treaty could be overturned, and he took one last shot, authoring a bold statement from the Cherokee Nation in the form of a written petition to be laid before the United States Senate. "We acknowledge our own feebleness," the Cherokees said. "Our only fortress is the justice of our cause.